property developed. So in the development review process, how it typically works is you have a development application that comes into the city. It gets routed to a planner, such as myself, and I go through the first review. I route it to the development review staff team here at the city that puts it through the ringer and takes a look to see how it fits with our standards and requirements. So that is the first staff review section that you see. We give comments back through red lines, and then we have a neighborhood meeting between the first and second submittal. The importance of having the neighborhood meeting between the first and second submittal is so that we can get your feedback from the community to see if there's any changes that can be made on the plan where applicable and within reason that we can try and accommodate. So some of the ODP items that I review and also that staff reviews would be building placement on the site, building form and architecture, adjacent street design, such as right-of-ways, and utilities, storm, sewer, and water, and landscape. I'm going to go ahead and get into the applicant presentation. Kendall, if you would like to pop you and your team up. And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. And you just tell me to go ahead and go on to the next slide, and I'll just listen to you, okay?
Sure. Let's start with the next slide. So, as Stephanie mentioned, the property is a mixed-use transitional zone. Again, my name is Dave Burton, and my team with Kendall and Rachel here were the architects on the project. The property is located just north of 71st Place and just west of Lowell Boulevard, east of Lowell Boulevard. So it's an existing vacant lot that we are proposing to do a 3-story apartment building on. The apartment building will have 75 residential units plus a leasing office and an amenity. The parking will be accessed. The building fronts on 71st Avenue and will be accessed on a portion of a public right-of-way that we're going to dedicate to the city on the east side of the property. Can you go to the next one, Stephanie? Next slide. You can see it's future Knox Street on the right-hand side here that will eventually be a full street, but for now it's going to be a paved public right-of-way alley that we will use to access from 71st Place to our parking, which is in the rear of the property, access in the rear of the property and fully underground. We have units on the first floor as well as parking on the first floor. And in the center, you'll see a small gray square that is our courtyard. It's a light gray square, accessed again from 71st Place. So many of the units have exterior frontage to the 71st Place. Some have it to future Knox, some have it to the side and the rear, and some units have access directly to the courtyard. Can you go to the next slide, please? This is an exterior renderings from 71st Place. Our project has generally 3 materials: brick, stucco, and we have a couple different colors, stucco and metal railings. We have included a dark brick. The brick is actually, is it 50% of our project? 50% of each of our facades, including the back and the side, as well as the east facade. We have some stucco that is gray in color and some that is yellow in color to give a little splash to the design. Kendall, do you want to jump in a little bit?
Sure, and we really wanted to consider all 4 sides of this building and look at the architecture holistically, as it's being a 3-story building. It's very visible from all sides, so we really took into account the architecture from all sides, so there really isn't a rear.
Next slide. So this is the, again, the south elevation, which is 71st Place, and the north elevation, which is the back of the building. Again, with similar materials as the front of the building. We do have some service utilities in the back, such as meters that need to be outside the building. One more slide. The next slide is our two side elevations, and you can see from the east side, Knox Street, we have a garage door towards the right side of the slide, right lower side of the slide, which is our parking entrance. And the west elevation is, again, residential units facing the side. So overall, we have 75 residential units. We have, where's our mix? Is this it? We have 59 one-bedroom, one-baths, 5 two-bedroom, one-baths, and 11 two-bedroom, two-bath units in the project. All the units have exterior balconies, and we have one parking space per residential unit. We expect, since we're in the Westminster Station area, that people will utilize the light rail and perhaps live here, and they may work other places and hopefully use the wonderful light rail system that we've been installing all around the Front Range. So we'd be glad to take any questions that the audience may have as well.
All right, thank you very much for that. I just wanted to click back to this image here and kind of go through what some of these, as you were describing your patio, the balconies and such. So what we're going to do next is move on to the question and answer period. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to our attendees this evening. Please let us know if you'd like to speak, or go ahead and type any of the questions that you might have in the question box on your screen.
Right, and Stephanie, this is John. I'm going to go ahead and read the first question. So far, there's only one question in the question box, and so I'll go ahead and read this. It's from JP, and the question is, let's please talk about parking. 75 units with only 75 parking spots. Where will the other 100+ cars be parking?
Okay, well, I think I can try and answer, at least from the perspective of the requirement per the Westminster Station area specific plan. So that the plan allows for multifamily units to have one space per unit. And there's also, as part of the right-of-way improvements, on-street parking. So the site itself, per the plan requirements or the code requirements, has to park all of its residential units on site. If Kendall or David would like to talk to, how you've handled the garage, I open it up for you to answer that question as well.
Sure, we have a couple other buildings similarly that we've designed in the area, and truly with 59 one-bedroom units, we find that really most of the people have one car. There's not a lot of two-car families that are renting a one-bedroom, smaller apartment. But nonetheless, the Westminster Station area plan is pretty specific. I mean, the whole idea to build multifamily near the light rail is for people to use the light rail, and that is the benefit of being in the Westminster Station. If we were building this project 5 miles away from the light rail, that would definitely be a different story. And I would suggest that we would need more parking. But we find that with smaller and one-bedroom units, with mostly one-bedroom units, that the 1 per 1 is an adequate amount of parking.
Thank you. Hopefully that's answered your question. John, is there any more questions or maybe a follow-up?
Yes. The next question is from Dino Valente. And that is, what will the monthly rentals of the units be? Will there be income restricted units? I believe this would be for the applicant.
This is David again. And so, we have been doing similar one-bedroom, one-bath units that rent from about $1,200 to $1,300, depending on location in the building and size of the units. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, I would suggest are probably going to be like 1,600, and the 2-bedroom, 2-baths would probably be more like 1,800 a month. But I don't know, we haven't run a specific market study on this location, but that's generally what these size units would rent for. I don't believe at this point in time we're planning any income restricted units.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question is from Stephen Schloff. And actually, Stephen has two questions here, and they seem to be related, so I'll read them both. Will Knox Street only go from 72nd Street to 71st Place? And will street parking be permitted on 71st Place? So I'll repeat that for the benefit of the staff and the applicant. Will Knox Street only go from 72nd Street to 71st Place? And will street parking be permitted on 71st Place?
Oh, geez, I went 1, 2 slides too many. Okay. So part of the vision for this area is to have Knox Street punch through from 71st to 72nd. However, the city is not going to be acquiring or taking any properties to make this happen. It happens as development occurs. So as this being the first piece that is coming in to develop in this area and its adjacency to Knox Street, that a portion of Knox Street will be built. It tends to also help the project in the sense that it's the access into the parking garage, allowing for the parking garage design to be placed into the back. The 71st Place right-of-way is considered a local street and is defined within the Westminster Station area specific plan and does anticipate having on-street parking.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. The next question is from JP, and it's a question about the average number of cars per household in Westminster. What is the average number of cars per household in Westminster? I would normally refer this to Heath Klein, our transportation engineer. I don't see Heath as being present. Seth, would you be able to comment on this, or is there someone else in the meeting that could comment on this?
I see Heath as being present as a staff. Heath, did you want to try and there you go.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you, JP. Good question. So it really kind of varies. So the question, what is the average? I would take it you were asking about the average in an apartment complex. And what we have seen for the apartments that are closer to our B station and the commuter rail, we are seeing that they are parking at 1 space per unit. As we get further away, then it does increase. So this is the reason why we have it in our station area plan to park at 1 space per unit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Heath. Next question is from Dino Valente. These sound like high-density, low-income units. What will it take to get units with higher rents?
I guess I would probably direct that to, there you go.
Yep, I'll jump in on that. I mean, you know, these will be market rate units. With the price of construction these days, they will absolutely not be low income units. That's the market rate for new construction. By the time this is built, maybe it's $100 more a month. And I'm sure the owners would appreciate that. But, you know, at this point in time, for a 500 square foot unit, $1,250, $1,300 seems like market rent.
All right, thank you. The next question is from JP. Will it all be ADA accessible? JP does not get specific about whether are we talking about the units or the site itself. So would anybody like to comment on ADA accessibility for both of those things?
Sure, I'll jump in on that. So absolutely, the building itself will be compliant with the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA. The units themselves comply with the Federal Fair Housing Act. So once you're inside a unit, it's different than inside a commercial establishment. Within the units, there will be type A and type B units. Type A units are fully accessible with grab bars installed and all the appropriate clearances, wide doors. But however, all the units are type B accessible, which means that they are adaptable to type A and they have the required clearances per ANSI. So again, the hallways, the community space, the elevator lobbies are all in compliance, and the sidewalks are all in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. The interior units are in compliance with the Federal Fair Housing Act.
And in your parking garage, you have some accessible parking spaces.
Absolutely.
That are located here. It's kind of hard to see on this site plan, but there's this stripe indicating here, which is, what indicates the accessible area to step out into.
Absolutely. Handicap units in compliance with the requirements for sure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. The next question is from Dino Valente. Will the city be doing upgrades to 71st, including sidewalks, gutters, and drainage?
Keith, did you want to take that one?
Thank you, Mr. Valente. This project will be improving the north side of 71st along its property frontage, including adding a detached sidewalk. And if there is some damaged concrete along the curb and gutter, or if it is missing in this location, this will construct that. But as far as improving the entire 71st place, I do not know if that is on our streets list yet for this year or the next couple of years. But I do know that that roadway is part of their concrete and pavement resurfacing program. I just do not know at what time that will happen. Thank you.
All right, the next question is from Mr. Valente as well. How does this development compare to the densities and unit square footages and rents of the plethora of apartments at the new build on 88th, the former mall? This will be the new downtown Westminster. And will the units have pantries in the kitchens? So we're asking to compare the density in our downtown versus the density on this site.
Well, I know that the density, so there's no maximum density on this site, but the density as once you figure out the numbers, I think it was 83 or 82 units per acre. I'm not quite sure exactly what the densities are on those downtown sites. Some of them reach up to 80 to 90 dwelling units per acre. And then some of them, I know that actually this group, Real Architecture, has been working on a site in the downtown that has a less density because it's a townhome product. So I don't know, Rita, could you weigh in at all on what some of those densities are in the downtown?
No, but we can certainly post that on this development webpage just to give a range of similar type densities. We'll
yeah, we could definitely follow up on that. But as far as the pantry question, I'm going to go ahead and kick that off to the architects.
Yeah, we have a few units with pantries. Some of them will have pantries, some of them will have pantry cabinets. That would be for some of the larger units.
Oh, geez, my light went off in here.
Okay, the next question is from JP. Are there going to be EV charging stations?
I'll kick that off to the applicant to answer.
We'll have EV, we will have 8 EV capable parking.
Yeah, we have 8 EV parking spaces in the garage, EV capable parking spaces in the garage.
All right, the next question is from Stephen Schloff. What impact do you expect this development to have on the businesses and properties immediately surrounding the areas? I manage all around auto care across 71st Place from this development.
Well, I think as the immediate benefit, just from the perspective of getting more bodies into this area, to use the commuter rail to encourage walkability within the area, I think is a benefit. Being able to have development on a vacant parcel of land is always highest and best use piece of land for this scenario. As far as impacts go, when you start to add residents to an area, it increases the amount of people that could potentially be using the businesses in the surrounding area. And the idea is to, have this area be walkable. So the idea is to keep people that are within this area using the businesses in the area as well. I don't know if the applicant wanted to add to that, or maybe Chase with economic development might have something to add to that as well.
This is Chase. I think that was a great answer, Stephanie. I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
All right, and so the next is a comment from Mr. Valente, and it's just a thank you, and the follow-up would be appreciated, and you have his email, and he looks forward to an answer.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you, Dino, for coming.
That's the last of the questions. Oh, I'm sorry, here's another one. It's from JP. Will a property manager be on site?
I'll leave that to the applicant to answer.
Yeah, we have an on-site leasing office, which is the darker gray square in the center, right in the very heart of the project. We find with a project of this size that we'll have an on-site leasing agent and maintenance person part-time. So not full-time, but we'll have leasing hours and we'll have maintenance walk-up hours. We do most everything electronically now, and all the requests are put in through the software and basically go right to the maintenance manager. The project will have video cameras for the courtyard and all the way around the perimeter as well.
Okay, this is a question from Mr. Valente, and this is for the developer. Since you're building ownership units at the mall site, would you consider changing this to an ownership project? We continue to see only absentee landlord apartments and the area is out of balance.
So would this be for the architecture team or for the property owner to answer?
Well, the question was specifically directed by Mr. Valente to the developer.
The developer?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You know, we kind of did a small study on this to try to figure out what's good, and we found that via light rail, apartments are a better choice. So that's why we did go with renting, so apartments over ownership. Eddie, do you have anything to add?
I would just say, that's a good question. And I think a mixed use and a blend, when you look at the community as a whole, probably makes sense. For our specific property, where we're trying to get this area started for development, I think this is the best use at this time, just to kind of get the ball rolling. But down the road in other pieces of property and other developments, I would assume, because of the location, that some of the ownership definitely makes sense. For this project, this makes the most sense at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, so next question is from Stephen Schlaff. Do you expect any changes to the properties on the east and west sides of this development? I regularly see the apartment building to the west require Westminster PD involvement.
Well, as far as the site plan goes, that's up that you can see here, the improvements really stop at the property boundaries and then into the right of way. So, you know, whenever what does help is getting a piece of vacant land developed, because sometimes what occurs on that vacant land, whether it might be people trying to dump on the property or do things that, you know, require calling PD, gets decreased. You get more activity and you get more eyes on the street. So not necessarily saying that like we can speak for what's going on the property to the east, but it's always good to be able to have a vacant piece of land like this developed. And per the standards within the station area specific plan, really require this building to be, you know, to fit, to have a high architectural quality and character and materials. And generally, when you add that level of quality into an area, it helps increase the image and the perspective of what people have of where they live. And so I can't speak to, I guess, what's going on that the apartment complex to the east, but generally, once you start to put these level of quality improvements into an area, it does help people feel better about where they live. And so, you know, I guess that's how I would answer that. But as you see on the site plan here, really the improvements physically are just within the property boundaries and the very adjacent right of way, because that's all we can, you know, legally do as far as the right of way at this time too.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. The next comment is from Mr. Valente again. This project caught me and my neighbors completely off guard. I found out about it around 3 p.m. We are within 500 feet and I didn't see a notice. Kara, my former classmate and friend, nice to see you. Please don't give us crap. We need projects to build up the area, not continue to pull it down. Is there anybody on the applicant team or Stephanie, can you comment about the notice that was provided for this?
You know, Dina, what I can do is follow up. We have a map that shows where the property, the buffer that goes around the property boundary hits in relation to all the addresses associated with that 500-foot buffer. So we can follow up and I can give you that map and you can see, and we have the list of addresses as well that were all associated with that notification. The project has been posted since it was submitted under our project status webpage in a PDF. And that PDF has an updated link to this meeting this evening. And we continue to update that PDF as this project moves along. And that's the same for all the developments within the city. That's how we keep our citizens aware of what's going on. And we also have a development review map, which is an active map on the city's website where you can bring it up. And I think it's right on the Planning Division's webpage. It's a tile box that you can click on and you can see all of the developments within the city and what their statuses are and where they are in development of being under review or approved, not being constructed yet or under construction. And then we eventually archive those after, I think it's 6 months after they're completely developed. So, you know, those are some avenues for you next time you want or have some questions about developments going on in the city. And I hopefully that's answered your question, but I will definitely follow up and provide you with that map.
And I just wanted to say a real quick comment. Hi, Dino, by the way. It's been a long time. We used a company that actually provided the letters and we used the parameters by the city. to send those letters out. So that's kind of where that came from. As Stephanie said, she'll provide the map. But we absolutely, growing up in this area, I want this area to be developed. I'm excited about the specific development plan. And so that's why I'm here. And so anyways, we're very excited about it. We don't want to bring down values. We want this to increase the area and the value of the area, and the more rent we can get, the better. So we're excited about that. We own multiple properties in the area, and again, we would like to see this area really get developed. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Kara, and thanks, Stephanie. The next question is from JP. How much of this will be a green build?
I'll leave that to the architects to answer.
Yeah, so this building will be designed in accordance with the 2015 and 2018 international codes, and there's the IECC, which is the International Energy Efficiency Code, which we will be constructed under. So it will be quite a bit more efficient than most things that are that have been built in the past. Let's put it that way. We're not doing LEED certification, but again, the new codes are much more restrictive and environmentally friendly than past codes have been.
All right, thank you. So it looks like this was the last question so far. Does anyone in the audience have another question? Yes, here's another question from Stephen Schloff. I have worked in this location for over 8 years, and now I would love to see this area grow and improve. When do you expect this project to start, and how long do you expect construction to take?
So I think I'll talk to the first question, the construction part. I can't answer, and we'll kick that off to the developer. I'm going to try and flip through some of my slides and get to the neighborhood, the development review process. So currently this is under the first, here's my slide here. We're at the neighborhood meeting portion. So the first staff review takes 4 weeks. Then the next submittal that we receive takes 3 weeks. And sometimes we go to second or third and fourth submittals. Kind of depends on where the project is, how we're working together to solve problems, and if there's any outstanding things that we're trying to figure out. But generally, that's the process. So the city commits to 3-week review turnarounds. And so that's what I can speak to at this moment. After the planning approvals are given and what we call Mylars are signed by city management and recorded at the county, we move on to civil construction drawings and building permits. And that's a whole nother set of reviews that that's required. So I'll go ahead and kick it off to the development team if you want to talk about, your anticipated time for construction. But it does kind of depend on when things are submitted back to the city. So.
Yeah, this is David Burton again with Real Architecture. It's our intent to have civil and building construction plans submitted late summer, reviewed in the fall, and hopefully break ground right at the end of the year. It might be the first of next year. The construction period for a project of this size takes about 15 to 16 months. So we are talking about occupancy in 2023, so early 2023.
All right. I think that was the last question. Does anybody else have any questions to add? Okay, one more question from JP. Will there be any public land dedication? How is the PLD being handled on this project?
So the public land dedication piece is still under review as part of going through the first. We haven't gotten to the point yet where we have figured out what those exact numbers are.
Yeah, right now, though, we do know that we have a land dedication off of 71st and a land dedication off of Knox. We think it's about 10.5 feet on 71st, and we think it's about 30 feet on Knox. So there's a definite square footage dedication from the landowner to the city. And along with the dedication, we will be improving those right-of-ways as well.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Burden. What you're referencing is generally right-of-way dedication and other types of dedications required to the city. What the question is referring to is the city requires a public land dedication for residential projects, and the city can accept all of the required dedication, which is based on the projected population of the development, or it can accept a combination of a land dedication, cash in lieu, I should say. And the third option is to accept just a cash in lieu. And so, as Stephanie mentioned, we're still early on in the review process. We haven't gotten to determine that yet. We're still working with the applicant on that, but that will be satisfied at the end of this project when we're ready to move it forward for construction.
Thank you, John.
All right. So the next question is from Stephen Schlaff. Will the community be involved in any further discussions from this project after this meeting? Will we get a chance to share our opinions if any major changes are made to this plan?
I'd say you're always welcome to contact me with any questions that you have or any comments or concerns you want to provide me. I will communicate those back to the developer, and if feasible and what we can try and achieve on a site within reason, we'll try and do. As far as the neighborhood meeting portion of the development review process, it has been satisfied. So it's between the first and the second review. So this is the moment really for the outreach component. However, if you think of something afterwards, or you have any questions or concerns, even during the construction phase, you can always contact the city with any of your questions or concerns, and we'll get back to you and work with you.
Okay, the next question is from JP. What is the water allocation for this project?
Let's see, I don't have I think we're in the process of working that out, because what happens with this is it's based on unit count, and it's also based on the type of landscape that's used around the project. So we've gotten comments back from our Public Works and Utilities Division based on the first round of the landscape plan to determine what that irrigation tap fee will be. And then there was the comments provided to the applicant on what those tap fees are. I can look up the official development plan and send you what those numbers are based on what that comment was. I would just want to make sure that with our Public Works Department that's the solid number. That's going to be it for now, because we are so early on in the development process. So, but I could definitely follow up with you on that, JP.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here again and say that was the last question, but I'll ask again, does anybody have anything else they would like to add?
I might have to move again to keep my lights from going off.
Okay, and JP says, please do, Stephanie, and you have his email.
Yeah, that's right. We do have it.
And next is from Dino Valente for Stephanie. I am quite informed and quite familiar with the city website. Like most, I can't check daily. So how do we get on a notification list? There are no more the weekly sent out.
I mean, we can discuss, I'll discuss internally with, with John and Rita, if that's something that, we want to do. As far as like, are you asking to be notified directly on this project specifically, or all happenings within the TOD, or what are you referring to specifically, I guess, is what I would have a follow-up question for you on that. Or citywide development, we're talking scale. I'd just like to know what your parameters are that you're asking about.
And Dino, I'll add too, if this is a better conversation for any of us to have with you over the phone or in a meeting of some sort, we're happy to accommodate that too.
Yeah, we can follow up and discuss this. That's completely doable.
Yeah, we want to make sure you have everything you need. And so we're always willing to meet with you or have a phone conversation, whatever your preference is. Okay, so Dino says, we would like to know what is going on in our neighborhood instead of having to search and find. This is not the first project that has caught people off guard. Okay. Well, that makes sense, and we understand that. So, Dino, let us have a conversation in our department to see what we can do to better accommodate that kind of communication. There's probably a way to do it. We'll want to discuss that and maybe get back to you and share some ideas with you. And Dino says, thank you. Yes, the city communication needs to improve dramatically across the board.
Thank you for that feedback. All right, so how are we doing on our questions? Do we have any more?
Not at this moment, but we'll give it a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we'll give you a couple if you think of something. That's what we're here for this evening.
And two, I think Stephanie mentioned if anybody needed to or wanted to speak live, I think we can accommodate that as well.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, one more comment from Dino. Nothing more for me. I want to watch hockey. Go Avs. Right on. Go Avs. Okay. So it looks like that was it from Dino, but are there any other participants that have any other questions at this time?
And just what I have up here on the screen as well, if you have any that you think of, you can call me or you can email me and I will do my best to answer them for you. Give it another minute or so, or what are you thinking, John?
There was another comment from Stephen Schloff. Thank you for involving the community in this project and for all the improvements being made to the entire Westminster Station area. Thank you for the comment, Mr. Schloff.
Yeah, thank you for attending this evening.
All right, so I say we give it about 1 or 2 more minutes. If we don't get any more comments or questions during that time, we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up and talk about next steps. JP says thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll just start talking next steps. So part of the next steps of this, we're going to have this video posted online, the link to it under the development project status PDF. That's part of this project. And I will follow up with the questions that have been asked this evening within 3 business days. So sometime next week, you should be getting the answers back from me. And then I also post those on the development page as part of my project as well. So I will update that PDF that you might have gone through on the website today to get to here. That's part of those next steps from my end. The applicant is going to work on finishing up to get their second submittal in for review to the city. I didn't know if there was anything the applicant wanted to add to that piece as far as next steps go.
No, I think we're ready to move forward with our second submittal and addressing your first comments. And if there are any questions for any of the participants tonight, please, Stephanie, feel free to forward them on to us as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll work together in getting those answered.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, Stephanie and Jennifer, if you're ready to begin closing things out, wrapping things up, please feel free to do so at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for attending this evening.